Alrighty, Monday, June 3rd, quick session recap here, starting off with ES. So we come into the session wanting to see how price is going to be trading versus that upside 53.10 slash prior day high level of interest. Take a look at the 5-minute regular trading hours chart. Right through here, what you're going to see is price just opening right there at that 53.10. Now, I've mentioned this a few times, but it is worth repeating. Anytime price has a big expansion day, like we saw on Friday, any type of big trend move, any type of multiple ATR move, any type of expansion move whatsoever, ideally what you're going to see is the next day opening near the edges of that day's range. It's going to be an ideal scenario. It's not always like that. But again, if you do have the opportunity to watch price near the edges of that expansion day's range, that is definitely a good thing. And the reason is because we will be able to easily and quickly assess whether or not that expansion move is going to show any continuation. Okay, so in the case of today, we're looking for potential continuation, or like I mentioned this morning during the pre-market prep live stream, some potential retracement, right? Not unusual to see that retracement, not unusual to see a bit of an inside bar, inside day after a big expansion day like we had on Friday. So we come into the session today with one primary reference point on watch and ES. That was the 53.10. We want to kind of gauge early in the sesh who is in control, right? Are buyers continuing to step in and pay up, or is this going to be one of those retracement types of sessions? And we could see that 53.10 buyers are really unable to sustain acceptance above that 53.10, right? Look at the 5-minute right here. There's a 5-minute chart, regular trading hours, no real acceptance above that 53.10. Every kind of little blip above that 53.10, even with the 10 a.m. reversal time news, sellers are right there. Sellers are right there. So it kind of tells us, all right, well, this may be one of two things. It's either going to be a range day, right, where price just kind of consolidates within a tighter range, or we may see more of a retracement type of move. Now, what I have on the chart here, if we flip to the 30-minute, what you can see is that Fibonacci buy zone. There's a 50% and 61%, which I always call the Fibonacci buy zone. That is the retracement from Friday's low up into this overnight high. So from this trend move, this 30-minute trend move, if we fail to see acceptance above that 53.10, right, one of the ideas that we can watch for is the retracement play. Price puts in that retracement play, holding the 61% fib pretty much to the tick. I mean, that is almost perfectly aligned right there with that 61% fib retracement. And then you start to get the bounce. Look at this 30-minute candle, right? Tells us that buyers are really stepping in right here. From there, obviously, the longs become much easier. There's another reason I always say align your trade with what those higher time frames are showing. It's going to make things much, much easier as a trader if you are aligned with that higher time frame trend, whether it be 15-minute, 30-minute. You know, you could also look at the hourly. If we jump over to the hourly chart, what you'll see here is that overnight consolidation, right? Price rolls over. Now you do have an interesting bar that develops right through here, right around our level of interest, 52.85, but again, doesn't show follow through up and through that 52.88. So you get another leg lower. So this is one way in which I personally use the higher time frames to really make sure that I'm on the right side of the move and I have the wind in my sails, right? I want to make things easier for us as traders. And again, this is one way to do that. So overall, pretty good action today, all things considered. We definitely did see, let's see here, a 66-point move, definitely larger than what I would expect on a session like this, but not all that surprising just considering the magnitude of what we actually saw on Friday, 102-point move, right? So you get a retracement there of Friday's move, buyers stepping in yet again versus that 5250 level of interest, which aligns perfectly with our Fibonacci buy zone. Nice long setup there, one of the easier setups for today's session. Now poised to close right here near this 52.85. And if we zoom out a bit, you can see that price has pretty much been in this same area for the past week or so. Last Wednesday, May 29th, coming into this area right through here, this 5,300 and high 5,200s area. And so point is, kind of a near-term range here. Not the cleanest, obviously, but price not doing, it's quite volatile, but as far as actual movement, it's pretty much just trading and oscillating near this same location. For Tuesday, for tomorrow, what I'll be looking at here on ES is going to be how price responds versus this 52.85. I believe that is today's volume point of control, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we do have today's session volume point of control right through there around 52.80. So that'll give us a solid reference point to work with for tomorrow's session. Could see that there's definitely some sellers that have shown up here. And so ideally, we don't really want to see an open right in this area simply because it will be in the middle of today's range. Those best opportunities, like we kind of spent the start of this discussing, are near the edges of that prior day's range, generally speaking. So ideally we can get an open near 53.10 or maybe even this 52.50. But if price is pretty quiet overnight, we're looking at a regular trading hours open near 52.85. We can definitely work with that as well. As you can see on the near-term chart, 15-minute right through here. Past week or so, volume point of control is right through here at 52.85. So we know this is definitely a significant level in the near term. As of right now, price is still bigger picture structure. We have a change of character of what was previously a near-term downtrend, right? And then prior to that, we were looking at pretty much an intermediate term range. If I flip this to the hourly, it'll be a little cleaner. So remember, during last week, we were primarily focused on the edges of Thursday, May 23rd, that expansion day, the edges of that range. So price initially bounces, you get the rollover, right? We think, it's potentially a breakdown, but then Friday buyers really step in pretty heavily. Okay, that action forces change in character of the near-term downtrend, and price is pretty much back within that near-term range, right? And to really solidify that, what you can do is just flip back to your weekly chart, and what we can see, let me refresh this, let this rescale a bit. Look at the past 4 weeks, right? Past 4 weeks, essentially right here. No significant movement. A lot of volatility, definitely, but no real significant movement, right? It's not like a trend higher like we have over here, or even prior to this action, or even prior to that downtrend, right? Just trading within that range. It's a bit sloppy, definitely, but this is still range trading. So 52.85 going to be that main watch here on ES. Still working with the change of character that we've seen in the near term, right? No retest down into Friday's low. That is significant for buyers, right? Holding that Fibonacci buy zone, definitely also significant. And now price showing a nice bounce back into that prior intermediate term structure. So to simplify, watch that reaction versus 52.85 tomorrow. Now let's jump over to NQ. Similar story, right? Don't need to really rehash a bunch of this because the move was relatively similar to what we did see in ES. You've got Friday's bounce. When you take the fib from Friday's low into this overnight high, where are we at? As far as the retracement right there into that Fibonacci buy zone, right? Buyer step in. Okay. Main watch today was at 18.6 18,630. So once you start to see price just not even respecting that 18,630 whatsoever right through here, and then you get the retest, it rolls over, tells you what exactly? Another leg lower, right? Another leg lower. You see your big level, your main level of interest being rejected, okay? Tells us, all right, yeah, this is not done yet. It's gonna be more selling. There's probably gonna be a fresh low on the session. That is what that tells you right there. And so we get the move into the fib buy zone. Sellers step in pretty aggressively, buyers step in pretty aggressively right through there. And now we're back into 18,630. So main watch for for Tuesday, pretty simple. 18,630. Prior intermediate term range support right through here. Right? And it is also Friday's high. This continues to be a significant level, but as far as the structure is concerned, same comments remain. We have the change in character seen during the overnight session. That just means this prior series of lower highs is now negated, right? Buyers were able to break that most recent lower high. Now we have what is potentially a new higher low. Okay, so 18,630 going to be that main watch. If we need to update in the morning with the pre-market prep live stream, as always, we will do that depending on what that overnight action looks like. But so far, structure is looking pretty good. Hope everyone had a good sesh. Good start to the week. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a DM. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good afternoon.